Welcome to Oregon Indie Film, a video podcast that shines the light on Oregon's independent film industry. I'm your host, Dawn Sellers. I interview Oregon's independent filmmakers who offer insights into the creative process, challenges, and triumphs of making movies in Oregon. The Eastern Oregon Film Festival's 16th year happens this week in Grande, October 15th through the 18th, bringing a curated program that includes 9 features and 41 short films, along with filmmaker Q&A sessions, music, parties, and a special staged reading of Bad Day for Bigfoot, the field trip project chosen this year. I'm joined today by Christopher Jennings, the director and founder of the Eastern Oregon Film Festival. It was a pleasure to sit down with Christopher to chat about how Grande welcomes filmmakers not only for the festival, but also throughout the year for location scouting and filming. We chat about how the festival began, the growth it's experienced over the last 16 years, and big dreams for the future of the festival. If you want to experience the festival films without making the drive to Grande, they offer a virtual option so you can watch the selected films online. But just a 4-hour drive from Portland, affordable accommodations, and plenty of in-person opportunities to meet and mingle with the visiting filmmakers, I encourage you to check out this great Eastern Oregon town. Tickets are still available. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Christopher Jennings. I'm here today with Christopher Jennings from the Eastern Oregon Film Festival. Welcome.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. And so your festival is ready to kick off. I'm sure you're very busy, so I thank you for taking some time to chat with me today. Festival starts this week.
It does. Comes right up. This year, we've added a day on the front end, so we're going to kick things off on Wednesday, the 15th of October. We're traditionally the third weekend in October every year, so we're going to start with a kind of a new event around more or less our efforts to bring production to our area. So we're doing a staged reading of a screenplay called Bad Day for Bigfoot, which is part of came out of a field trip program that we set up and worked with Oregon Film on to recruit and bring filmmaker alums back to the area, give them a week to investigate the area, make connections, build resources, and then do kind of a viability study on their project and if it can work here. And so we brought these two folks up with their script and crossed off all the boxes and found all the locations, and they're really excited to bring the production here next year. So this is kind of a middle point where we'll read the script in front of an audience and kind of build some local support and engagement around the production idea. So that's how we'll kick things off this year.
Yeah, and that's a new program that you just launched this year, right? I was reading about that. That's great. So the idea is to bring film to Grande. So is it people that have lived in Grande and are coming back, or is it open to all filmmakers? What's the idea there?
Open to all filmmakers, and primarily, it leans into our alumni base. So people who have shown films here or been connected to the Valley through the film festival or other programs, seem to have the most interest, and you can kind of get over that first hurdle of they already know the place a little bit, so they're willing to step out. But this program came out of, we did a filmmaker residency during COVID or right after COVID, which was 3 weeks, or actually 4 weeks at a local hot springs and hotel. Basically, we paid for 6 filmmakers to spend a month writing screenplays for the area. And so, that was a very expensive program. We did 2 years of that, and it was really great. I mean, really wonderful to meet those folks and build those relationships. But just from a budgetary standpoint, it was a little too hefty to keep doing. So we made the field trip program, which is geared towards filmmakers who already have their project developed. So the script is done, mostly have a budget figured out. They know what they're doing. They're just looking for locations and best place to produce it. So that's where we got, I think, 8 applications for the field trips this year. We did 1 full field trip with these filmmakers, and we have another set of the filmmakers who had applied are coming to the festival anyway. So we're kind of doing a mini field trip for them while they're here to kind of touch base and then maybe bring them back later. So
Well, that's very exciting. And the festival itself is this is the 16th year of the Eastern
Yeah.
Oregon Film Festival. Congratulations. That's great. And is that so obviously it wasn't happening during COVID. You did this residency instead.
Well,
But
we did do our festival every year in COVID. We did
oh really?
virtual,
Oh
like a
nice.
lot of folks did. So we did continue programming. We did, some fun in-person recording, music after parties, and everything was, very much, out of the studio. Um, and so that was a lot of fun, and I think that was important in terms of keeping momentum and keeping, kind of audience engagement.
Yeah, yeah. Now, have you been with the festival for the entire 16 years?
I have, yeah. So I started here doing, I was in a film program, the media program at EOU, and kind of playing in that space. I had a lot of friends that were doing similar things, and so I was doing a local filmmaker project at the time, like Grande based, and really trying to build, local interest in making film and stuff. At the same time, Ian Clark, who's a local or Grande native. He was on the filmmakers 25 new faces to watch, I think that year, I think 2009. And so he kind of leveraged a bunch of those filmmakers to come down to do like an inaugural, screening series. And that was kind of the first year was just a handful of films, one day kind of thing. And that was 2009. And I think pretty much immediately we saw the interest and,
Hmm.
formed the nonprofit the next year and kind of officialized that moving forward. And so we showed the LeGrand Summer Film Project in tandem with that first series, and then we
Hmm.
kind of moved it all together forward after that. So
Yeah. So are you a filmmaker yourself then?
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. Not practicing so much. I mean, I started in theater and then got really interested in media and film. I shot a feature here in 2001 or two, and that was kind of our first kind of local effort to really make an indie film, and it burned us out. We spent
Yeah.
2 years of our lives working really
Hmm.
hard, and I love the film, I love the project, but there were some technical issues that kept it from really ever going anywhere. Um, and then I found myself doing a lot more community organizing.
Hmm.
After that, I'm a bit of a cheerleader when it comes to cultural arts in the area, and so I found very quickly like I was able to help just leverage a bunch of talent and get them together and, get them to do fun things and get creative, and was good at kind of, building, uh, yeah, just building programs that people could participate in. And I find a lot of joy in that. So,
Right.
yeah, part of everything I do is, building community around the arts. Yeah.
Well, and I think, LeGrand has grown a lot in the arts in general, not just film. So that's great. That's
Yeah.
very exciting. It's very much needed. And it's a beautiful place to film.
It sure
So
is. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
that's really like, the benefit to the festival too is, it's autumn. All the colors are just
yeah,
changing. It's not dead of winter yet. And,
yeah.
so it's really colorful. It's always kind of a hit or miss weather pattern. You can come you'll get sun, you'll get rain, you'll get snow, you'll get sleet. You might get everything in that weekend, which is, kind of part of the magic too. So,
Right. If that's what you're looking for your film, it's great. Yeah.
yeah.
And so LeGrand is pretty film friendly then. You've created that. So for people that might want to film something there, how would they, where would they start? Would they contact you?
Yeah,
Um,
I think reaching out to me and the festival as a whole is a
yeah.
really good starting point, because we've built a lot of those bridges with kind of the economic departments in the city, and are always first to kind of hand you off as a filmmaker to different resources. So we don't have a formal film office or anything like that, or the chamber doesn't necessarily have policy. We don't have permitting. All this stuff is still you know it's very malleable and flexible right now. So it's great.
Right. Well, LeGrand is a fairly small town. I don't know offhand, what's the population
So
there?
yeah, I think the Grand proper is probably 12 to 13,000, and then the
Yeah.
Valley, there's a few small
Right.
communities. maybe closer to 20,000 overall in the whole valley. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's not large.
No, but it is a college town, so
Right.
there's a
Yeah.
lot
With
of
the university here, it's helpful.
yeah.
I'd like we're on campus and we do a lot with students, but I think there's a lot of room to grow there for sure. I'm
Hmm.
excited to see that growth.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. Um, so what are some of the highlights of the festival that anything you want to share? I mean, I'm sure, every film's going to be great to see. People are going to want to be there for the whole thing. But anything that kind of pops out that's a highlight?
Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, there's lots of stuff. And I'll say that it is all on virtual as well. So, those who can't make it till
Oh,
the Grand,
great.
go to the website. There's a virtual screenings tab, and so during the weekend, and we keep it pretty locked to the weekend. We want you to participate with us, but you can catch out almost all of these films online. I think there's one that was not able to be done on VOD. So that being said, I would say there's a lot to explore. From the community standpoint, I'm really excited about our opening night film, The Burrowing Owls, a love story. It's Oregon based. It's regional for us on the Umatilla Chemical Weapons Depot here out in Boardman. It's family friendly in the sense that it's a really good nature documentary, a very good environmental message, a very good mission of restoration and preservation, and really powerful. So we're driving our community, very much to that as the most accessible program. Let your kids come. Otherwise, the festival is usually an 18 plus kind of event. So
Okay.
we try to point out where we can the ones that become a little bit more accessible to everybody. But I'm personally really excited about Brandon Colvin's new work, The World Drops Dead, and he's got a counterpiece animation that's going to play with it. I apologize. I've got so many things in my head. I can't remember.
Oh,
which
I'm
one.
sure. Yeah, I don't know how you could remember all of them.
When the Moon Returns is a counter animated piece that goes after the festival. Or after the feature. It's kind of a unique pairing. And we've shown a couple of his films over the years. I think Sabbatical is probably his most well known in the past. And so just having him make the trip this year is really special. And then being able to present this it's an intense work. I know it's going to be very good to have him here to kind of speak to it. And so I'm excited about that prospect. And we always show these. We have a Liberty Theater that we're restoring.
Oh,
It's an
nice.
old historic Liberty Theater.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's been in like the same holding restoration pattern for like 3 years. So we keep sharing, or we show films in there, but there's no heat. It's all skeletal. We have a really nice screen, nice seating, but there's absolutely no HVAC in there. So this time of year, it can be you're seeing your breath while you're watching sometimes. So we're encouraging people. Everyone bring your parkas. We have extra blankets. But there's something unique about that. Just that. For the filmmakers themselves, like I've had nothing but really great comments about the unique nature of the screening and just, a chance to be in a different space and to see things in this is kind of a ghostly atmosphere. I think will play really well with his film. And then, so this year we're doing 2 late night films, which we've never done either. So his film will play at 9:40, really late at the Liberty. And then the following night we'll do a late one as well. So, I mean, we're trying some new things out this year, and I hope we can get the audience to participate at later at night. I'll be there. I think it's a wonderful film, and I think there's a lot of people that might skip our after parties and would rather go to a movie than go to the after party. So this is a new opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. That's interesting about the theater. So it's in the process of being restored, which can be a huge project, I know. What are the plans there?
It's gone through a few iterations. There's a foundation that's running it. It got a bunch of federal grants, I guess 3 years ago now, that put it on the course to getting the construction completed. It's mostly all interior construction now and just some framing and cleanup. But I think with kind of the timeline of the federal grants, as far as I could understand, along with the requirements of contracting and doing the federal process to get a bid out. By the time they finally got bids out, like inflation had blown it up, and they only got 2 bids back at like 3 times the budget. And so
Right.
it's just this kind of constant cycle, unfortunately, locally, that we can't quite get it funded fully to get it done. There's no one contracting locally that can really do it. So we have to go outside. So there's a lot of hurdles with getting that done. I'm glad I'm not on the foundation, and that's not a project I'm responsible for right now. But I think I might get more involved moving forward, and we're poised to be, to use the space very, in a lot of ways for our house programming, annually, starting to build out, monthly programs. Like that's all in the future if we can get the thing done. So
How many venues are there in the festival?
This year we're using 4 total. We use EOU campus. So there's 2 really nice venues just right next to each other. The Mackenzie Theater seats about 400. And then the Schwartz Theater is a smaller black box theater. And we do a lot of stuff in there during the day. It seats about 100, which is usually about, kind of our daytime crowd. Right. And so it's a nice little audience. And then we'll use the Liberty for a couple special events. I think we're doing 5 total events down there, throughout the weekend. And then we use HQ, which is where I'm at here. This is I co-own this venue with another person. It's a music mixed creative space venue. And we use it kind of as the filmmaker lounge, beer garden, after party location. So we'll do all the music events here in the evening, do kind of a kickoff VIP toast here on Thursday. Artists can, come in anytime and, hang out in the basement, and we got a photographer that does their portraits, and all that stuff's gonna kind of happens in this little space throughout the weekend. So you can spend most of the day on campus, but usually you end up having to come downtown somehow to the Liberty or to our venue here.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from filmmakers that have attended that it's a great festival for filmmakers. So that's always important, I think, for us to feel like we're appreciated and that it's a fun experience.
Right. And I worry. I mean, I worry about that. Like right. I really do. I worry about it to a degree, but I also, there's part of me that's like, this place itself is magic.
Stay right there. We'll be back to hear more in just a moment.
Calling all filmmakers, performers, and creatives. The Soundstage is your home for high-quality recording in the Portland area. Whether you're working on an audio or video podcast, voiceover project, audiobook, casting your next film, or need help with that self-tape audition, we offer a professional, welcoming studio space. Come record with confidence and mention the Oregon Indie Film Podcast to get $5 off your next session. Learn more about the Soundstage, the Northwest's premier voiceover and recording studio, at thesoundstagenw.com.
Hey there. If you're enjoying this episode of Oregon Indie Film, don't go anywhere. We've got more great conversation coming up. And if you believe in uplifting local voices and the power of independent storytelling, we'd love your support. Hit that follow button, share the show with a friend, or leave us a quick 5-star review. It makes a big difference. Want to get more involved? Reach out at OregonIndieFilm@gmail.com. Now, back to the episode.
And just the idea of, if we can just boil it down to like, hey, we're getting together to talk about stories that you've made as a filmmaker and stories that we're watching as an audience, and how, we get this great opportunity to not only take in your story, but to hear your perspective on your story. Like we get that opportunity, which I think doesn't happen a lot. So, and the other festivals I've gone to have always been a little separated. Like, here's the filmmaker track going here, and here's the audience track here, and they don't really interact. And with the nature of our festival, you're just crammed into the same spaces the entire time. So you're moving to the bars, you're moving to lunch, you're running into audience members, you're always talking with people. And I think that's what they enjoy. They really, it takes away the worry or like the kind of the professional, like, oh, I got to step in tile and I got to, all this. And it's really just comes down to the artists and their chance to really just dive in deep about their work and each other and let go of some of the worries that might be on their shoulders.
Yeah. And you have 9 feature films and 41 shorts I saw on the
Yeah.
website. So quite a few
Yeah.
films
It's a
in
big, it's a
this.
big one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I was also noticing that you have like an annual membership for the film festival. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works? I thought that
Sure.
was kind of unique and creative, so I'd love to
Yeah.
hear more.
Yeah, we do. So we call it the Festival Friends program. It's $250 a year. It's a, recurring sponsorship, auto renew every year for you. And that will, lock in your pass for the festival, gives you some discounts, where you can go and buy, up to 5 passes for your friends at 50% off. So it's more of a, it's a little community builder program, really.
Yeah.
So we're encouraging our friends to get their friends and build a little gaggle of friends and come watch a bunch of movies. Um, and then, and as we move forward, especially with art house cinema, kind of building on our annual programming, things we're going to do in the spring, the friends get to participate more in that. So, they'll get the free tickets to those annual programs or discounts on things coming up, and, they get a special T-shirt, and, it's a really good way to support the festival at an annual level, help us build a base of ongoing support. And then, take care of like all your festival worries. You kind of get your pass, you get everything ahead of time, and you can just show up and slap on your friend T-shirt and hang out in the VIP lounge. So we, friends are VIPs, same thing over here. And so we kind of throw our VIPs, our friends, and our filmmakers all together quite a bit. And so, yeah, it's just a really great way to support. There's, as we go in and out of virtual access, there's some, freebies on virtual, some, things pop up and it'll let you participate in some different things as friends. So, but I'd say it's small and growing program, trying to really wrap our heads around the best approach to a membership. We've looked at a lot of other models and trying to find one that works for our community. Maybe we need to start looking outside of our community more at these membership, our member base. But for now, we have to kind of keep an eye on our rural area and what that price point might be high for some of our local people we found. And so we're just trying to make the festival as accessible as we can to our community, because there is a lot of need there in terms of access. But at the same time, building, kind of working to build a base of support that might not be from our area that likes to come to the festival, right? So they're willing to support because they like the work we're doing. Maybe they like the area enough that they'll eventually be here more. I don't know, but it's a good opportunity for not only locals, but also our regional and kind of growing national audience to, if they want to support us annually, that's the way to go.
Yeah. Well, I think offering, the virtual option is great too, because it does give people the opportunity that can't make the drive or can't take the time for the whole weekend. They can still take in some great films. Are most of the films from Oregon then?
No, they're all over. We have a few international films. Most are all U.S. based. I think there's a couple Canadian films in there. We do have a specific Oregon comedy shorts block, which is 3 Oregon specific short films that are grouped together, and we're excited to share all those and have the filmmakers here. But we typically, it's a national call, and we put it out everywhere, through Film Freeway. We do look to kind of create a program that can reach everyone at some degree. It may not be every film's for everyone, of course, but, we do try to build an arc of curation so that, we can tap into local organizations or groups to kind of pair up and have conversations. An example this year is our closing night film, Into the Unknown, a cancer story, or my cancer story. Matthew, I lost his last name. He's also an alum. He's shown a couple films here. He recently went through a very aggressive stage 4 appendix cancer, I believe is what it was.
Wow.
And he documented the whole thing. So his whole journey. It was a very intimate, but also very just touching and I think universally accessible documentary about that for himself. And so we're going to be joined by, I think, the regional specialist from OHSU Knight Cancer Research Institute join in and kind of speak to that. So, that's an example of how we try to get ahead of it every year to where we can identify some films and go, okay, what's the, what organization locally could we bring in to where we can enjoy this, watch the story together, but then maybe bring it into a local context somehow. So especially if you're dealing with, documentaries, it's easier to kind of find an organization to go, oh yeah, we do birds too. Let's bring these guys in and talk.
Right.
But every year we really try to grab, one or two of those opportunities to bring a local organization to the table with some professionals or a filmmaker to really, talk about some subject at large.
Well, and that's great to support the local organizations and I'm sure businesses too in La Grande, bringing, filmmakers in and an audience in really helps support the community there, which is great.
Yeah, we're really excited. We're going to work with the EOU after this festival to get us a kind of an economic impact study done over the last few years. Like since COVID, we knew we took a big dip at COVID. We all took a dip. So, but if we can look at these last few years and really start to rebuild that impact study so that we can, work with our local officials, especially in tourism, right? I mean, that's where we play at right now in the cultural the destination cultural event space.
Right.
Really, our money comes from heads and beds. So, if we can prove that, and we can prove the hotel and the restaurant spends, and really showcase that, then we got a chance at leveraging some more local support to help us keep trudging along.
Yeah. I always like to ask guests this question, and that is, what's your big, beautiful dream? Like, I imagine that you probably have quite a few because it sounds like you are a community-minded person and doing some great things in La Grande. But if you had unlimited time and money, what's your big, beautiful dream that you would do? Film related or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question because I do have millions of ideas, but I think maybe we want to keep it kind of contained to maybe the vision of this, going forward. I think what's unique about our area is that or specifically this program, this event, is it's got the most ability to grow in our region right now. Like looking at some of the other events and groups and things that are doing things, like we really have like a ceiling that just keeps going. In terms of access to venues. So we have a 3 cinema movie theater here. They just don't really like to use us, or don't really, we did stuff there for years, pre-COVID, and they stepped away and they haven't quite, got back online. But, going forward, you've got 3 screens there. You've got a full Liberty Theater ready to roll. EOU, you could probably get at least 3 screens up there if you wanted. We have a historic drive-in theater here. Hot Lake is its own unique space, but it has a cinema built into it. So there's we can really keep building this for a while. Like we can grow this, and I think marrying that growth with production, like if we can really get on a 2-year cycle of we're bringing in really unique projects, we're helping them get done. They're showcasing the region and creating a really good opportunity economically and culturally for our community to learn new trades, skills, and slowly grow. And my goal really is, once all these really great talented people in Portland area, or let's say, and they're looking to get out of Portland area, there's enough of them that come here to where we really do have, a professional crew in the area. Right now we have to work really hard to bring, a mixed crew of Portland or LA and make sure all that happens. And then we can throw some production assistance and we can, do some secondary stuff, but there's not professionals here. So I'd like to recruit that and grow some of our own, start to the point where a filmmaker would know there's a top-notch crew in La Grande. Like they could come here and know that, they could spend that line item on La Grande people. And that's my goal. So that may be a couple years out, but there's a lot of talented people here. And I just hope to see that kind of come to fruition.
Yeah, well, and just increasing the accessibility to training and those kinds of things. I would imagine, though, bringing a crew to Le Grande in the whole scheme of things wouldn't be that expensive, because it is a smaller town, and being film friendly, it's probably very welcoming. The hotels are not that expensive for crew.
Yeah, it makes up for itself. I think, I don't know if you've seen Breakup Season, or, so if you look up that film, that's kind of the first one we went through this. Nelson Tracy was one of our residents, brought his story back, and he's gung ho about this community, and shot his movie, and, we helped put all that together. And I think that was one of their initial concerns, looking at the budget, like, oh man, we got to fly all these people there and drive them all there. But really it does pencil out, by the time you're here, like, the savings that you'll have kind of on the tail end seem to balance it out pretty well. So that's good. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that I think we're the perfect location for a niche production, a production that wants to get out of the studios. They want to get out of the city. They want to get out of the same places they've always been making movies. Mm-hmm. And they kind of want to come and have its own experience. Right? I mean, it's a different experience to shoot, mm-hmm. A small film in the middle of a new place, in a kind of a rural area, that's not subject so much to, maybe all the no's you're used to hearing, when you're asking for stuff or whatever. Like, you really do get a positive kind of reinforcement from the community, an interest in helping, a desire to make it better than it is. And I think that is a really, really powerful, it's a powerful part of being here as a filmmaker with the intention of shooting and knowing that that's possible for you.
Yeah, it does really make it special for sure. So is there anything else you want to tell us about the festival, or anything else coming up in Le Grande that people should come and check out, and maybe scope out some locations while they're there?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to start snowing and look really pretty around here soon. So if you like to ski, and I mean, Mount Hood's closer to Portland, folks, but
not that far.
Lake, 45 minutes from here, Anthony Lakes is like the best small ski in Oregon, and nobody knows about it. So come out here in the winter, we'll show you the town. You can watch some music or something in Le Grande, and, we'll point you to the mountains. The festival itself, if you can watch virtually, if you can really get across the state, do it, or wherever you're coming from, wherever you're hearing from. I mean, I encourage anybody to travel up here and kick it for the weekend and explore it. But, there's so much good content this year that it's worth, flipping through the virtual catalog and maybe picking something to spend the weekend chewing on. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Those are part of our Audience Choice Awards is the virtual. So, you do have the opportunity to vote and participate that way if you do the virtuals.
Nice. Now, will the awards be online as well? So is that something people could watch?
Yeah, well, we won't do like a streamed presentation. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. What we will do is probably give 3 awards out on the closing night here locally. So there'll be a following press release that'll do that. And then it might be about a week before the Audience Choice Awards are announced. So we'll get through all the VOD, which kind of spills into Monday a little bit for people to wrap up. Okay. So you'll see two kind of announcements come out afterwards, and hopefully some good photos of the awardees, and hopefully an awardee will be there. I don't know exactly, but
hopefully.
We're typically, I don't think this is the first year we'll probably actually give awards at the festival. We've always kind of tallied everything up afterwards and then done more of a follow up. It hasn't ever been about the awards for us,
right?
And, it's important for the filmmakers to notch it in and get those laurels, and so we do want to follow up and make sure that they're recognized as really excellent filmmakers in relation to our program. But I do always want to step back and be like, it's like everyone who got selected, in my opinion, is an award winner.
Is a winner for sure. Yeah,
they're amazing films, and just the opportunity to be able to share them with our audience, I'm grateful for.
Yeah, and Le Grande really is only 4 hours from Portland, so it's not that far. Grab your friends. You get to
drive the Columbia a lot of the way. I mean, granted, it gets a little gross around Boardman. It's a little boring around then, but
yeah. But it's a beautiful drive for sure. Yeah. So great. Well, I will put links in the show notes for tickets, the virtual option. You guys are also on Instagram and Facebook, I think. So you're easily found online. And I'm going to let you go because I know you're really busy. You've got a whole festival to put on.
I got hit with that sick bug last night. I really bad, and that's usual par for the course. I usually like weekend before I go through this and then I'm back. So here's to healing and an awesome film fest next week.
Yeah, and then for filmmakers that didn't submit, you're on Film Freeway. Probably when will you open up for submissions for next year?
We typically open January 1. But we potentially will open a little earlier this year. So, keep an eye out on Film Freeway. We'd love to have you.
And then the field trip program that I saw opens up in November for next year. So if somebody has a film, I know. If somebody has a film that's kind of ready to go and they want to film in La Grande, they should watch for that to open up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great free trip to come check out the area and explore it, and kind of, there's a lot of value in that. So I highly encourage that.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Christopher, for your time, and best of luck with the festival. And I'll probably try to check some films out online, knowing that that's available. Yeah. Great. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, wonderful to meet you. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for listening. You'll find links in the show notes for tickets to the festival, both in person and virtual, as well as social media for Eastern Oregon Film Festival. Follow along so you can find out when submissions open for next year, more about the field trip program, and the annual membership support option for the organization. If you would like to continue the conversation with Christopher, reach out to plan a visit and explore the La Grande area. Maybe the location and resources available are a good fit for your next film. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a 5-star review and share it on your social media. It helps us connect with more indie film lovers. Would you like to support the podcast by becoming a guest or a sponsor? Reach out, OregonIndieFilm@gmail.com.